We may take our seats. Good afternoon. My name is Nwaku Raboshaha, and I'll be your program director this evening, or rather this afternoon. And I hope you are all warm in Gauteng's weather today. And welcome to our program titled State of the World, State of Our Hearts. Quite timely in my view. And just by way of introduction, as I said, my name is Nwaku Raboshaha. I'm a teacher by profession, and I'm a lecturer at Northwest University out in Potchefstroom. I became introduced to the Brahma Kumaris in 2013 and walked into their doors at Observatory. And since then, I've received so much love from the Brahma Kumaris, and I think many of us have experienced that from them. And I have very fond memories and experiences with the sisters from Observatory. In that spirit, I would like to say to them and to all the ladies in the room, Happy Mother's Day. And may we have a round of applause to all our sisters and mothers. When I became introduced to the Brahma Kumaris, I was searching for purpose, meaning, and peace. Largely because I thought I was carrying quite heavy. And over time, through the teachings, through the engagements, I've learned understanding of self. And that for me has been the greatest gift that the Brahma Kumaris has given me, because that's how I learned to live and to interact with society and to do what I do from a more humane point of view. So ladies and gentlemen, our program today is State of the World, State of Our Hearts. It is very timely because it is my observation and my experience that many people out there are carrying a lot and are carrying heavy. So it is really timely to examine our hearts at this state. We will begin this program with a song by Videshni. Videshni is an international singer, songwriter, now based in South Africa. Through Videshni's company called Spiced Paper, she supports individuals with career development, coaching, well-being, stress management, and practical tools for navigating life and work with greater clarity. Spiced Paper also works with organizations and everyday people to understand and adopt artificial intelligence in a human-centered way. Videshni teaches AI tools in a way that encourages creativity, confidence, and freedom of thinking, with a particular passion for supporting growth and innovation across the African continent. Today, she will be sharing with us her voice through song, beginning with What a Wonderful World, and closing with a creative piece inspired by artificial intelligence and our changing world. Videshni.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. So yes, I'm going to do a song, Wonderful World. I thought it was very apt concerning this topic of a state of the world, state of our hearts. So everybody knows Louis Armstrong, And if you do know it and you'd like to sing with, please go ahead. I see trees of green, red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty, and the skies are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? And they really saying, I love you. I see trees of green, red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I feel like some of you know the song and you just don't want to sing with me. Come on. Okay, after this instrumental, we're going big, right? The colors of the rainbow, so pretty, and the skies are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? And they really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, I wonderful world. Thank you so much.
What a wonderful. Good afternoon to those who've just arrived. My name is Ngwaku. And thank you very much, Videshni. That was beautiful and a wonderful voice. Thank you for reminding us of this beautiful world that we live in. I think sometimes we forget. And for now, we are all here because of our beloved Brahma Kumaris. And we are now going to play for you a video to introduce the Brahma Kumaris. Thank you.
We are all observing the world around us. We are all observing the world around us changing so fast. And in my heart, I wonder, what can I do? I can't change the world around me, but I can change my reaction to the world. This is spirituality. By knowing and experiencing who I am, I can take my power back. Visualize the permanent self, the true self, I, the soul, the light shining in the center of the forehead. The more I reconnect with who I really am, I re-emerge my natural state to be peaceful, to be loving, to be compassionate. At this time, the message is to regain my inner strength by knowing and experiencing who I am.
Thank you very much. For the main part of our program this afternoon, we've got an internationally renowned speaker, Charles Hogg. I've heard his name so many times in the Brahma Kumaris circles. Affectionately known as Brother Charlie, Charles has been on a committed spiritual path for over 40 years. As a senior teacher of the Brahma Kumaris these days, he travels extensively and has visited more than 80 countries as a speaker at international conferences and BK public programs, including a special guest at spiritual retreats, sharing his experiences of applying spirituality in daily life and also teaching meditation. From experience, Charles knows meditation is an extraordinary tool to maintain mental, emotional, and spiritual health in a world increasingly challenged by anxiety, stress, greed, and depression. Charles is the national coordinator, chief executive of the Brahma Kumaris in Australia, and the chairman of its board of directors. He is based in Sydney and is also an active member of the coordinating team for the Asia Pacific region of the Brahma Kumaris, as well as the Brahma Kumaris International Coordinating Group, where he is responsible for major international projects and the administrative direction of the organization's global network centers. Brother Charlie will first take us into a few minutes of pause, and then he will get into his speaking for this afternoon. Thereafter, he will lead us into meditation, and then he will also be joined by Dr. Nokanya Kanyile Lenaka. Brother Charlie.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's very lovely to be in this atmosphere, and I'd love to thank Nwaku for his beautiful introduction, and Videsh, that was a beautiful song. We thought today we would like to begin with a few moments of silence to create the atmosphere. So I'd just like to invite us into this sweet space. And rather than maybe your mind wandering here and there, just really reflect that my natural state is peace. So let's just have a little bit of silence for a few minutes. Thank you so much, everyone. Can I ask who felt the atmosphere change a little bit in just those few minutes? You know, sometimes I think it's so special when we sit together in silence with the aim to create elevated thoughts, and we can really change the atmosphere or the feeling in a room. We live in an extraordinary world, and as we heard, what a wonderful world. 8.1 billion human beings, 195 countries, 6,500 spoken languages, and 4,500 practiced religions. Seeing our world and seeing all the differences in our world, seeing all the upheaval in our world, and seeing the incredible accelerated change in our world, I wonder, how are you feeling? How is the state of your heart? Because all of us have to manage this increasingly sensitive mental, emotional, spiritual landscape. It's a part of life today. And I've just been describing the outer world, this material world that all of us connect with on a daily basis through our five senses. We see it, we hear it, we taste it, we touch it. That's the seen world, but there's another world, and that is what I would call the unseen world, or the inner world. And this is the world of thoughts and feelings. And I feel just as powerful, a world that is just as powerful. And sometimes I hold an image in my mind, 8.1 billion brothers and sisters on our planet, all of us pumping out thoughts every day into the atmosphere. You know, scientists tell us today that the average human mind creates about 70,000 unique thought patterns in a waking day. Please don't ask me how they counted them. I have no idea. But it's almost like we live in a thought soup. We're all contributing. And this thought soup is now so full of fear, worry, anxiety, hurt. And it's almost like all of us are drinking in this atmosphere on a daily basis. We're all influenced by this collective human mind, this collective human thought. And wherever I go in the world, and I imagine wherever you travel to, almost everyone feels the world is on a slide at the moment. We're on the downhill, and things are declining, things are degenerating. But what is feeding what we see out there every day, what we read about every day, what's in our news every day, what is feeding it? I believe it's the collective human mind. And when this collective human mind is full of greed, we have created this materialistic culture that's destroying the environment we all live in. When the collective human mind is full of ego, we only think of self-interest, and that most human of all qualities, to have compassion and understanding and care for each other, is often not happening at all. When the collective human mind is full of anger, there is so much conflict and peacelessness, not just in the bigger world, but even in our homes and in our families. When the collective human mind is full of fear, there's no love in the heart. And as a result, seeing what is happening at the moment, so much of it lands here in the heart. And what is the state of the heart spiritually? I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist, but I listen to a lot of people, like we all do. And I hear so much. There's broken hearts. Hearts that trusted and the trust was broken. Or there's closed hearts, hearts that have experienced so much pain and hurt they've just shut down. And won't open again for fear of being hurt even more. Or sometimes there's empty hearts, hearts that just are empty of love. They feel abandoned and unloved. Or sometimes there's heavy hearts, hearts that carry the weight of the past, feel so burdened by the past or even the state of the world. Or even unworthy hearts, those hearts that never feel good enough. No matter what I do, it is never, ever good enough. And even just sad hearts, just seeing the state of humanity and the state of our world, there's a sadness there. And I would say that spirituality is really about healing our hearts. And the spiritual journey is this wonderful inner journey of self-learning. And I really love it because you're constantly learning about how you work and bringing change here. And my observation of myself, all the years I've lived with myself, is that when my heart is full of love, I feel so easy. You know that lovely, light, easy feeling? You feel comfortable with who you are. And there's no doubt I'm a lot more compassionate and understanding towards others. To me, the most powerful thing in life is a loving heart. A loving heart can break down barriers, fill empty hearts, heal hearts in pain. A loving heart can touch things in people that nothing else can do. But my observation too, that when the heart lacks love, the mind can never rest. You know, that overactive mind, that agitated mind, it's just searching, seeking. It's always looking, searching, because something is missing. Something is missing. The first need in life is love. The first desire is love. And if that's not fulfilled, my own feeling is that numerous other desires emerge. The desire for power, the desire for control, the desire for material things. I honestly feel that when there's a lack of true love, to compensate the most necessary element of human life for all of us, all these other desires. And look at our world. Such a materialistic world full of power struggles. Maybe it's a simplistic view, but when there's that lack of true love or experience of love, this is what happens. And how many crises are there in our world? And I promise you I won't talk about them. I think we've had enough of all that. But sometimes I wonder whether relationships are one of the great crises. It seems harder and harder to get on with each other. And sometimes I ask the question, what's given you the most happiness in life? Most people will say family, relationships. Next question, what's given you the most sorrow in life? Is it the same answer? I think it's often the same answer, isn't it? Both sides of the coin. And for the first time in human history, we are watching the breakdown of the family. And the family is like that social support unit that nurtures the heart with all the ingredients of a quality life: belonging, love, care, understanding. So many of us don't have that support mechanism anymore. And even mental health. It's the big issue all over the world at the moment, and there's many psychological reasons. But from a spiritual perspective, I would say it's a lack of love in a past life or a lack of love in this life. Because when there's like a lack of love, it distorts my perception of myself, others, and things around me. And sometimes I wonder, we live in these huge cities, and yet how many of us feel lonely? There's people everywhere, and yet we feel so lonely. And seeing all of this, we need a quality of love in life to really nurture my heart. But what quality of love do we really receive? Often love is very conditional. And maybe we say that's the way it is. That's life. That's the way it is. But I sometimes sort of have this thought that sometimes it's very conditional that we say, I'll love you, but you have to do what I want. So love is there, but it comes with manipulation and control. Or sometimes love is incredibly selfish. In the sense, it's not a conscious thing, but I feel so empty. My whole perception is you should be loving me. And such people have such high expectations of others. And I find sometimes permanently disappointed. No one can really fulfill their need because the heart is so needy. Or sometimes I think superficial love, the love of the glossy magazines and the soap operas, that sort of romantic style of love. I once read a book many years ago on the history of love. I'm not sure how you write a book on the history of love, but and in that, the person who wrote it was stated that romantic feeling of love only lasts a short while, and then love just takes on deeper and deeper dimensions. But sometimes we feel when that feeling isn't there, I'm not in love anymore. And so we go through these cycles of love, attraction, and then sort of differences, and then often, splits and rejection. Or even dependent love, because I can't really have much love for me, which I think is one of the biggest issues in life today, to struggle with that first relationship in life. I become so dependent on you loving me. And sometimes you give me that support, that's great, but sometimes I feel trapped. I've lost my freedom in my life. I've lost my sense of who I am. Excuse my throat, it's sometimes a little bit like this. No, it's okay. I'll try. So, just to be able to really care for the state of my heart, in a way, I would say that is the spiritual journey. And I would say that the first step to really care or heal the state of my heart is to develop a loving relationship with myself. And I often feel the first relationship in life is with me. And if that relationship is unhealthy, it pollutes each and every part of my life, my health, my family life, my working life, absolutely everything. And sometimes I ask the question, how do I treat myself? If I stand back and observe, how do I talk to myself in my mind? Am I loving? Am I forgiving? Am I caring? Am I kind when I sort of make a mistake or whatever? Or is the self-talk very harsh and cruel almost, and I'm putting myself down, telling myself I'm not good enough? Because if there's 1 billion human beings talking to themselves like this, what sort of culture do we create? And this is why really the first step on the spiritual journey is to begin to heal this first relationship in life and begin to understand, who am I? And in my sort of inner journey, I feel there's, in all of us at the moment, 3 personalities. 2 of them aren't very loving at all, but one of them starts the journey of healing this first and most intimate relationship in life. The first personality I call the eye of arrogance or the eye of superiority. And this personality takes its whole identity from all the labels of my body. My age, my religion, my nationality, my color, my profession, so many things. What's common to all these labels is that they are all temporary. And when this I is sovereign, is ruling my inner world, I compare with others. It may be unconscious even. I think I am better, I know more, I am right. You know that thing, the way I see life is right. But when it comes into my feelings, that's when I feel so easily weak, insulted, depressed, all these sorts of things which happen. I feel so easily insulted, not included. All these sorts of things happen when this I is ruling my inner system. And there's a deep relationship when my ego is ruling my inner system. There's a deep relationship between ego and love. Fundamentally, the more ego I have, the less love I experience in my life. What is the role of ego? Ego makes me feel separate. Ego tells me I don't belong. Not only to others, even to myself. I'm not really sure who I am. And so when this first personality is ruling my inner world, there's a very damaged relationship with myself. And I feel so easily, as I say, insulted, disrespected, not valued, excluded, sensitive. Anyone here sensitive? Wow, I'm impressed. South Africa must be number one in the world. Have you ever wondered how the tiniest thing can disturb your inner world so much? Just some tiny comment or whatever. But this I is a front. The I of arrogance, the I of superiority is a front for the I believe, is dominating our world at the moment. And I call it the I of inferiority or the I of lack of self-respect. This I also takes its whole sense of identity from the labels of my body. But it feels others are better. Others don't love me. Others don't value me. Others don't respect me. And when it comes into my emotions, my feelings, that's when I sometimes feel hopeless about myself. I feel there's an epidemic of hopelessness in our world. On the surface, we look so good. We can fulfill our jobs and everything, but sometimes inside, this hopelessness, a feeling of hopelessness, inadequate, unworthy, depressed. In psychology, depression is like a sadness that my dream in life to be loved and valued hasn't happened. But in spirituality, depression is like a mourning for the loss of my true identity. I'm living my life, but who am I really? And so when I'm dominated my inner world by my ego, the I of arrogance, and the ego of inferiority, the I of lack of self-respect, what happens? One day you're up, and the next day you're down. 1 hour you feel great, the next hour you crash. That roller coaster, that incredible up and down. And what spirituality says is that the third I is the original I. And the original I is the soul, the spirit, the consciousness, the Atma. In Sanskrit, the Atma means 3 things. I, the living, the dweller in the costume. The soul, the real me that is acting through this body, is extraordinary. Because the soul exists, but it has no size, in a sense. In mathematics, a point exists, but has no length, breadth, or width. I am a soul, and the soul has no labels. No gender, no nationality, no religion. That's who I am. And actually, I act through this body. And in a way, this first step to heal my heart is to begin a relationship with the authentic me, the permanent me, the real me. The soul is non-physical. The soul is eternal. The soul is immortal. The soul can never die. And in a way, the first step in meditation, as we begin to practice, is to reconnect and develop a relationship with the permanent me. Up to now, I have a relationship with the temporary me, the ego of superiority and the ego of inferiority. And that's why one day you really feel great. Someone praises you and says you're really good at something. We get high, one comment, and we get low. We're so sensitive because I have forgotten the essential self, the soul. When I begin to reconnect with my fundamental self, an extraordinary thing happens. I release a quality of peace into my system. Many times if you ask people, why do you meditate? They will say, for peace. I would say that's the result of meditation. The aim of meditation, excuse me, it will come better. The aim of meditation is to know and experience who I am. The automatic consequence of being in a state of self-awareness, self-realization, is this incredible feeling of inner calm and this sweet feeling of repairing the relationship with me. And sometimes I think the inner world is like a tree. And a tree has a seed, a trunk, branches, and leaves. Your thoughts are the leaves. And you know, when you see a huge, magnificent tree, how many leaves are there? Sometimes maybe tens, hundreds of thousands of leaves. But the thoughts are the end product of my inner world. What is feeding my thoughts is the branches, my mental and emotional patterns. You know, sometimes we're perfectionist. Sometimes we're a little bit paranoid, reading stuff into incidents. But what is feeding the branches is the trunk. It's my subconscious. In all of us, we have a subconscious. Freud said that 80 to 90% of our behaviors come out of our subconscious. But what is feeding the trunk is the seed. And the seed is my sense of identity. Who am I? So when I put a false seed in my inner world that I'm a body, I'm a temporary body, that corrupts the entire system. The trunk, the branches, the leaves, everything is influenced. So what happens at the end? So much thinking, so much overthinking. And this is the culture of today. We can't stop thinking. Don't you find it a paradox? We are so educated about the world out there, but so uneducated about the world in here. If I have too much thinking about something, can I stop? It's not very easy, I don't think, for most of us. And so it's like what we are doing is sowing a new seed within my inner system of who I am, that I am the soul. And then as I begin to develop a relationship and begin to reconnect with my soul, the soul is the lovable me. And really, when this relationship starts to heal, it has an extraordinary influence, I believe, on all corners of my life. So I'd really like to invite us just for a few moments for some meditation. And if it's okay just for these few minutes to sit quietly if we can, and maybe put down devices and bags and things like that. So for these few minutes, excuse me, for these few minutes, let's sit very quietly and just begin the inner journey of letting go all the identities that I've created so that I can reconnect with my essential self. Let me first observe what I do as a parent, a partner, a colleague. That is not who I am. That is what I do. Just feel yourself stepping back, letting go, identifying with what I do. And then for a few moments, imagine yourself above your chair, looking back at your body. Imagine yourself just observing your body sitting in the chair. Observe all the labels of your body, your gender, your nationality, your profession, your religion, your color. That is not who I am. These are just the labels of my temporary self. And let me go deeper and deeper. Even begin to observe the story of this life. Everything that's happened to me, it's all recorded in my memory track. But that is my story. It is not who I am. Feel yourself stepping back, withdrawing, and visualize yourself as a tiny star, a point of life energy, sitting in the front of the brain, in the center of the forehead. I am a peaceful soul. I am a peaceful soul. This is the permanent me. And let me begin to reconnect a loving relationship with the real me. My natural and original qualities are to be peaceful, loving, kind, pure, powerful. As I reconnect with the self and my original qualities, the relationship strengthens. And I begin to step onto the journey of healing my heart by knowing and experiencing who I am. Meditation is not just something you do morning and night. It's like an attitude to life, a decision that I will live my life in the awareness of who I am and take back my sense of self-value and self-respect. As much as I have self-respect, I can respect everyone. As much as I have self-respect, I will be loving and others will love me. As much as I have self-respect, I will be humble. The more I rebuild this relationship, self-respect automatically returns. And it's like coming home to a place inside where I take the pressure off myself. I don't have to impress anybody. I don't have to look good. I don't have to be noticed. I begin to accept myself. The greatest success of life is to feel comfortable with who I am. So the first step to really begin to heal my heart is to really embark on this relationship with the permanent self. And the second step on this journey to heal the state of the heart is to experience true love. You know, sometimes I think the context of human life is this search for true love. And what do? We invest our heart in relationships. We invest our heart in relationships. You think everyone sitting in this room, how much have you given to your family, to your friends, your community? You give everything. But there's a huge human dilemma. No relationship is permanent. Whether it's time, whether it's change, whether it's conflict, whether it's death, the object of my love will go. And this creates so much fear and insecurity. And this is why spirituality explores the one relationship that's permanent. And that's the relationship with the divine or with God. And I feel there's three sources of love in life: myself, the divine, and my family and friends. As I was saying, I feel one of the great battles of life today is to have a stable, loving relationship with myself. For most of us, not a lot of love coming, for me, from me. And then the divine. A lot of people have a lot of faith in God, but do I really feel a really intimate belonging and love? So my one source of love is my family and friends. So if there's a loss or an upheaval or a conflict or a separation, it's like my whole life goes into chaos. What is spirituality? Spirituality is first having a loving relationship with myself as a soul. Rebuilding that first relationship. And the second, a loving relationship with the Supreme Soul. And to me, these are like two anchors. And when I put down these anchors, these are permanent. No matter how much the state of the world swirls around me, I've put down things which are based on truth, things which are permanent. And for me, when I meditate, I sit down and I love to just let go the consciousness of my body, feel myself sitting lightly in the center of the forehead, and then just really feel myself just going deeply into those feelings of peace. And then through the eye of the mind, I see the Supreme Soul. Just as I am a soul, you can see me, I'm acting through my body. I'm a soul here, but I'm acting through this human form. As I understand it, God is a soul like me, but does not have a human form. And it's not a concept, an intellectual idea, or a belief. I'm actually talking about a real living being. And in a way, yoga means union. And so it's a relationship, a union of the soul, but with a being that's pure, a being that is full of love and peace and power. So it's like I'm like a little battery that connects myself with a being that's like a generator. I plug in to an unlimited source of love. And really, this is what the second step of meditation is really about. And when I really have this relationship with myself, I release that peace. But the relationship with the divine releases a love, a quality of love into my system. And I feel that when those two relationships start to heal and they're strong, I can then come into relationship with everyone from a place of strength. Because today, most of us, the human spirit, I often feel the first human right is to be loved. And yet so many of us don't feel that at the moment. And sometimes feel so insecure in relationships because one day it's good and the next day it's not. One time it's good and next time it's not so good. And so it begins to heal the relationships with others. And one of the steps, one of the laws of life is that if you give love, you will receive love. And the law really says, if you want love, give it. If you want respect, give it. If you want cooperation, give it. My observation really of happy people, they're givers of themselves. And the law of life says really, when you give from a true place, you will receive. People will bless you. And you can't underestimate the pure thoughts from the mind of another person. These days I often call it like the mind is like a perfume. And when you give love and respect, 90% of the time that will be returned to you. And the more you do that, it's like you get blessings in your life of goodwill from people around. The more you hold critical thoughts in your mind, negative thoughts in your mind, people feel it. Sometimes we think, it's all private. It's not private at all. Sometimes I think the human mind is like a big billboard out on the highway. Everyone can feel your thoughts. And then we sometimes wonder why I can't come close to people. Because when I'm critical, when I'm having negative thoughts, sometimes about myself or you, it pulls the hearts, it separates the hearts. And really, at the heart of human communication is feelings. And, research says that when you connect with another person, and we do that, what is life? Every day in life we're connecting with many people. You communicate on 3 levels. One is what you say. The second is your face. It's amazing how we read each other through the face. The third is the vibrations. The non-verbal, your face and vibrations, have 80 to 90% of the impact in any connection with another person. And so when you hear something and when you feel something, what do you trust? You always trust your feelings. So this is the main form of communication. And when we really start to deal with the state of the heart, I start to meditate. I start to upgrade the quality of my thinking about myself and about others. Then people feel more comfortable with me. People feel more safe with me. And so that law that if you, if you give love, you will receive love. And when I really communicate and I'm aware that people feel the quality of my thoughts, that they will respond to that. Another law that helps me improve the state of my heart is to let go and forgive. Possible? I'm getting a few ums and nods. But I feel, that things happen to all of us. Unpleasant things happen to all of us. I've been a meditation teacher for nearly 50 years now. And as I said, I'm not a psychologist or counselor, but I've heard people, things have happened to them 40 years ago and they won't let go of it. They hold on to it, they revise it. It's like a form of self-punishment. Each day, what quality of thoughts go through my mind and how does it affect the state of my heart? It has a huge effect on the state of my heart. Forgiveness is cancelling all the conditions of my mind that stop me being loving. Because each time I can't forgive, or you did this, I can't forgive, you've done that, I can't forgive you, I suppress my love. Nothing makes me healthier mentally, emotionally, and spiritually than expressing love. That's the beauty of human life. And if I keep holding back, you've done this. But then some of us feel, well, what happened was really wrong. And that's true. It was really wrong. And that's why I think it's possible to free myself by saying, I don't agree with what happened. They are not my values or not my principles. But to free me, I'm going to let go and move on. Where do I get the power? Really, I would say that when this relationship of the soul with the Supreme, often I call the lover of the soul, I don't have to be religious. It's a natural, loving relationship with a real conscious soul. There's a natural connection. I get this power. Because I'm not just sitting there believing in some concept or idea. As you're sitting in this hall at the moment, how many people have popped into your inbox, in your mind? You know, you're sitting listening to a talk and pop, pop. The children of friends, someone in America, someone in England, someone in somewhere else, India. You know, it's amazing. Why? Because thoughts are amazing. Thoughts are instant. Someone thinks of you on the other side of the world, it'll come into your inbox instantly. And this is the wonder of the human mind. It's the same thing that we pick up these thoughts and we send these thoughts, and we are actually having a real connection with this Supreme Being. And it's a real living connection. And often I feel that when I connect to that being which is unlimited source of love, I like live stream that energy into myself. And this has a huge positive effect on my life. And I would say that to be truly loving, I must be detached. And this concept of detachment, actually, we've had a weekend here with a lot of the BK community. We've been here a few days, and we've talked a lot about this because that word detachment, most people don't feel comfortable with. But actually, when you're detached accurately, you can love somebody when they're sweet. But when they're going through their stuff, they're difficult, you can still love them. Because in this concept, detachment means not to be influenced. Spiritually, detachment is to be very loving, very caring, very close, but uninfluenced by. What has happened is we have lost our spiritual power. We've become empty. We need to feel that emptiness. And so the image I have often is your mind seeking love and goodwill and peace is like a vacuum cleaner. And so if someone gives you love, someone gives you respect, but if someone insults you, if someone criticizes you, we take it all in and then I blame you. I'm in this cycle of self-deception, because the soul has become empty. The more I fill up, I become uninfluenced, and so I can keep loving even when other people's behavior is not what I feel it should be. We are at a time where we really need to do something for ourselves. The whole culture of life is to achieve outside. It's good. But spirituality says also I need to give time for me and care for me at this time. Because I feel things are going to change so much. Unless I've put down these anchors, life will repeatedly knock me over. And most of us have experienced that at different times. I get absolutely knocked down. And it's a pretty shocking experience. But when I invest in spirituality and give time to it, then I have some inner strength. And there's 3 ways I can do it. I can do it like a hobby. And I can come along to a talk like this, and it's really lovely. But we can walk out there, and what happens? You know what happens? Or I can meditate regularly. And I find these days so many people meditate. I know in Australia, a lot of the universities offer every student how to meditate. 80,000, 90,000 students. They have faculties of meditation because they know mental health is the big issue. But I find a lot of people they meditate, but as soon as they finish meditating, their mind reverts to their old thinking. The old perception just comes back once again. What we begin to learn here is to take it on as a lifestyle. That means I put a little structure into every day to heal myself, manage my heart, deal with the ups and downs of life by learning about myself and taking full responsibility for how I feel. The first law of spirituality says, I am responsible for how I feel. And if I have the courage to take that on board, I can really transform. So the state of the world, we have no control over. But the state of my heart, I really have a sense of control. Thank you. Okay, I think I better leave it there. And
Hello, my people. I feel really connected and very happy to be here, and I hope you are too. Thank you very much, Brother Charlie. Now, Brother Charlie is going to be joined on the stage by Dr. Nogukhanya Khanyile Linaka, who will engage Brother Charlie. Dr. Khanyile Linaka is someone dedicated to healing, not just the bodies, but minds, communities, and spirits. She's a pediatrician, author, and change maker who is passionate as a mental health advocate and vice president of Mental Matters, a mental health platform dedicated to destigmatizing mental illness, educating communities, and empowering people through medicine. Today, she joins us in conversation that sits right at the heart of her life's work, helping people find calm in the chaos and peace within themselves. State of the world, state of our hearts.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, Brother Charlie. Hi.
hi. I'd like to turn my chair a bit.
Yes,
away.
please. So good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys are keeping warm in this cold, cold weather that we're having today. My name is, as Mwako said, Dr. Nogukhanya Khanyile Linake. I am a specialist pediatrician by qualification, but I'm so glad, Brother Charlie, that you said, we're so busy educating ourselves outside of the world. And thank you to my husband for allowing me to take the time to become a housewife, to educate myself inside myself. So it's really interesting that we're in the space that we're in, and I'm so honored that you would have me share this platform with you today.
I'm equally honored to be with you. Thank you.
So as a pediatrician, I work a lot with children. I work with families and I work with people who are in very difficult to understand situations. One thing I love about working with children is their resilience. It's almost as if they've been untainted by the world. And you spoke, Brother Charlie, about what it means when we understand who the third original I and original self is. When I work with children and I see how they approach problems, even when you have a fight with a child, it's almost as if 10 minutes later they forgot about that fight and they're asking you for sweets and you're still meditating over, but you were mean to me and you said funny things to me, and they've moved on completely. I love working with children, so this is why I'm asking this question. What lessons do you find we can learn either from children that we meet or even the inner child that we need to heal when it comes to forgiveness and moving on, and also finding a way to find joy in everyday moments like they do?
Thank you. That's a beautiful question. To me, the most attractive thing of a child is innocence. And, it's a great question because children have that natural innocence. And in one way, I feel that to learn to love myself, I have to find that part in myself too. Because that's such an attractive part, because we tend to focus on, the mistakes I've made and the things of the past and all that. But, to find that original me, that authentic me, we've all been children and we all have an innocence. That's the lovable me that can really start to heal that first relationship. And so children can be incredible teachers in that way. As you grow up, you start to wear masks because you feel, I have to impress people, I have to fit in. But children don't wear the masks. In a way, what is in the soul comes out directly. And incredibly, little children, they can understand who they are, so that I am a soul. They have an intrinsic knowing that the body is such a wonderful thing, but it's a temporary instrument, it's something temporary. And so there's so much to learn from children in that way. And even little children, I've really seen a few at very young age sit and meditate. It's incredible.
I think it's really great to sometimes watch my daughter, as you may have seen her running around here. And it's like you say, they have no filter. What is in their mind comes out. One moment she's herself, the next moment she's a princess who's going off to save the prince from a dragon. Yes, she's doing the saving, not the other way around. The next moment she is, running a board meeting. I don't know who she saw running a board meeting, but that is what little children do these days. When we move on to medicine, as I'm in the medical field, and one of the big reasons why I started Mental Matters South Africa is because a lot of the colleagues that I was working with were in a space where we're all going through the same challenge at work. We're all having the same pressures academically to, perform, to be on top of our game if it was that. But there was so much burnout and so many people who couldn't cope, to the point where they either left the profession, decided not to come back to work and work somewhere else, or unfortunately had mental illness that led to disease. What we realized is with Mental Matters South Africa that people knew they had the information, but they struggled to apply that information. And the application of that information is actually where we need to go. So we could do therapy, we could do all of these activities, team building, etc. But studies have shown repeatedly, time and time again, the benefits and the outcomes of meditation on mental health. Brother Charlie, when we speak about meditation, I know from a medical point of view what the effects are on your brain. And I think when I started meditating, one of the things I found was so surprising was I was very, very sleepy when I was meditating, and I couldn't understand it. One, was it that I was so relaxed because I was exhausted from all the things I had to do in the day? Or is it just that because of the alpha, beta, gamma, and theta waves that were being stimulated by that meditation. Now my body was given the opportunity to let go of the stress that I had. And now I was actually able to have rest while being awake. So how can we use meditation as a tool? You spoke about structure. But I mean, again, this might be me asking for information. How can we apply that structure into our day? Because some people feel it has to be 1 hour. You have to sit a particular way. You have to act a particular way. How can we apply that into our lives? Maybe I only have 10 minutes after work or in between taking, dropping my daughter off and heading off to work. How can we apply that structure in a way that feels natural, but also doesn't feel like we're forcing it and trying to apply the information into our minds?
I think you're absolutely right to do a little bit of meditation in the morning. But as I was saying in the meditation, I think that meditation is like an attitude to life, where I start to live my life as a peaceful soul. Because a lot of meditation is sort of, I have to close my eyes, shut the door, shut out life. But is that real? Is that natural? I don't think so. And once I was in San Francisco and I was one of the guinea pigs of an experiment, because, they're doing more studies in meditation than almost anything scientifically. It's incredible because we can't relax these days. And I was in this little room for 6 hours and I had electrodes all over me. And so the scientist, as you said, it's a proven fact that we can relax with meditation. But when I go back into the family life and work, does meditation still work or does it go out the window? And so I had to, first of all, meditate, and she recorded my brainwaves. Then I had to sleep, and I'm quite proficient at that. So
Same.
I had a little snooze. They recorded my brainwaves. And then she gave me all these mathematical problems, and I had to give answers within a few seconds. So she's putting me under pressure. And the Brahma Kumaris meditate with their eyes open. And what she said was that when those who meditate with their eyes open carry the meditation into their daily life. So meditation isn't disconnected from real life. And that's why if you meditate in the morning and you sort of upgrade the quality of your thinking, and then you try to sustain it throughout the day. Now that doesn't always work, but the more you practice, the more you can, when you feel happy, you can work 20 hours a day. And when you're unhappy, you just want to run home and jump into bed. You're exhausted. A lot of people feel permanently exhausted today because the mind's always battling with itself. And this is where I think just to naturally meditate in the morning and then practice. What I do even is I take a few minutes here and just reminding myself, who am I? But it's not just an intellectual thought, it's a feeling that I am the peaceful soul. And the more you practice, really, I've noticed my whole world just cool down, calm down, cool down.
I love that you're speaking about meditation as the first thing in the morning, get it out of the day. I mean, even if you're not a morning person, whenever you decide to wake up is also okay. We speak about meditation as a daily practice. And one thing I really love that you spoke about was forgiveness. And I think forgiveness needs to be a daily practice. Before we speak about forgiveness of others, sometimes I find that the reason that meditation and connecting with your inner self is so difficult is because you might have things about yourself that you're not willing to accept and let go of. Maybe things you've done in the past, things you may have said, things you might have thought that you haven't been able to let go. When we connect with our inner selves and we are using forgiveness as a tool to help us become deeper rooted in who we are, in the identity of truth of who we are, what kind of things can we say or do that, or maybe even resources that we can access that help us accept ourselves for who we are so that we can move forward to that true, deep self-acceptance and true self-love. Because I think what I find is we're looking for happiness from other people, and we're looking for happiness in ourselves alone and true love from other people, and it should be the other way around. We should be looking for love within ourselves, and as we love and serve others, then we will get that state of happiness that everyone is looking for. And that's why we never really get to the core of who we are. So when we're truly trying to forgive ourselves and accept who we are, what kind of things should we be saying to ourselves, doing? Because I'm all about the practical, and that's sometimes where I think a lot of people struggle.
If I can use the language, the inner journey to really know the self it's a lifelong learning in a way, because we've accumulated a lot of baggage. And what I observed in myself is that we hold these beliefs about myself. They're so powerful that I'm inferior. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. And these beliefs, this is the real work, to break down these beliefs. How? My experience is really when I experience the relationship with the Supreme Soul, with God, that love starts to open something, because often we can't even feel that love from other people, even the divine, because this deep sense of not being good enough, being unworthy, it's really deep in the human spirit. And so even when people offer me love, I can't experience it because I don't feel worthy to feel it. It's something profoundly deep. And sometimes this is the work, that I need to do to sort of remove that wall I've put around my heart, which is often protected. And a lot of it is my own ego that I've put there. And the more I dismantle my, if I can use it, body conscious ego about myself, seems the love starts to come in. And I think we have a sense of self that if I make a mistake, rather than permanently punishing myself for months and years, I look at it, I learn from it, and I let it go.
Yeah.
And I develop mechanisms, internal tools to sort of heal myself, because the journey of life is a complex journey. And if we don't have inner mechanisms to resolve and heal and change, then I just accumulate. I honestly feel today the reason we have all our devices, the great telephone and whatever, is because if we just have time on my own, the mind turns on itself. And that's why I've got to keep something in my attention to distract me. Because if I go inside, often I go to painful memories and it's so uncomfortable. I just keep wanting to run away. So we create a life of total distraction. But what happens is the baggage increases, and the spiritual journey just gently starts. This is who I am. And now I need to start to do processes and learning, just gently learning, taking responsibility, healing, and letting go, forgiving. I really believe the first person to forgive is me. And the incredible thing, I've often noticed, if someone is really difficult and they really are behaving inappropriately, and I say something or do something, deep down, you don't like yourself for doing that, even if their behavior is not appropriate.
Yeah.
And, and you start to learn a lot more about how to manage how you feel inside. Meditation is just the foundation that enables you to heal and grow yourself.
Sure, I absolutely love that. I'm thinking about situations in my own life where I know this person was wrong, but why do I feel horrible about calling them to order? Or why do I feel wrong about standing up for myself, even though this thing that they did really, really hurt me? And I think a lot of the time, we speak about feelings versus logic and emotions, etc. And even though the logic of what you did should not hurt me, it still hurts. So is that the problem with me? And I'm not sure who said it, but someone had said, sometimes when speaking to your inner self, speak to them like a young child. And I really appreciate my daughter, because I always think, if she had to come to me with this problem, how would I ask her to solve it? And if I wouldn't tell that to her, then I shouldn't say it to myself. Apologies, I'm going to take out my phone, as you said, technology, because I want to get this definition correct before we move on. In 2019, the World Health Organization spoke about the definition of mental health. Why it took them until 2019 to define world mental health is absolutely astonishing to me, because 8.1 billion people on this earth all have minds, and whether they are healthy or not, that's mental health. But anyway, so the World Health Organization defines mental health as a state of well-being where individuals realize their abilities, cope with normal life stresses. Living in South Africa, I'm not sure how it is in Australia, but I think we can agree South Africa is not a normal place to live, right?
Nowhere's a normal place to live.
So where you cope with normal life stresses, work productively, and contribute to your community. This definition highlights that mental health is a positive state, not just the absence of mental health disorders, but also and is integral to overall health. I love to focus on two parts in that definition. One, it is a state. And the second is that it's not just the absence of disorder. When we think about our own mental health, and even when it comes to self-love, I find that when you talk about the state of something, that can change. Water can change various states. Moods can change. The state of your life, your finances in this economy can change. So how do we kind of find stability? Because even though water is fluid, it goes from a liquid to a gas to a solid. It is still stable at a molecular level. And we are made of 80% water, so that's why I like to use that analogy. You see, I am a doctor. I studied. Okay. How do we kind of reinforce that stability in that state? Because if we are saying our mental health is a state, that means that it's going to be impacted on by forces. How do we reinforce that stability and protect ourselves going forward? Whether it's meditation, whether it's engaging with others and being grateful for what it is we have. What do you think about that, Brother Charlie?
I think that really the seed of quality thinking is to know and experience who I am, because that will automatically generate a quality of thought. If I don't know who I am, and my mind is creating those 70,000 unique thought patterns in a waking day, and the majority of those thoughts are waste or negative, this is like the whole quality of my life. The real value of my life is my thinking and my feeling. And if so much of it is waste and negative, what is going to be the quality of my life? Because I don't know who I am. And so my ego will dominate my thinking. My ego gets so offended by other people. And I often feel that I had this saying for myself, only my ego accepts sorrow. And when I'm being hurt by people, the false self is ruling my inner world. So that's why I think this journey to not just know I'm a soul, 80% of the world believes there's something like a soul, a spirit, but to unpack that so I experience it. And when I experience it, my own feeling is you're still very aware, but you don't overthink. I think we are victims of our mind today because the mind just can't stop. We can't sleep. And because we've forgotten who we are, and just giving time to practice. And I've given, I'm a meditator of 50 years. I've practiced every day just to detach from my body to the point even where you have such a clear feeling what death is really. It's not the big deal that we're all told about.
Sure.
The soul. Because the more you're aware of yourself, I think the thoughts cool down and the quality of creation of the self is of much higher. And then you feel more self-respect, more comfortable in your own skin as who you are as a person. I mean, when you think 8.1 billion people, and I feel, why do we have the madness out there? Because if 8.1 billion people have an unhealthy relationship with themselves, that flows into our family life, our relationships, our work, our institutions, our governance, everything. Look, it's chaotic. Why? I feel, it may sound very simplistic, because this first relationship is so damaged. And so because it's damaged, we put on the facade. We try so hard. We want to be good, but inside we're battling with ourselves and trying to put on a happy face. You know, we try to wear that facade, but often underneath that face, I'm not feeling as... That's how so many people feel today.
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm thinking of what you were talking about when you said the Atma. It's the physical moving into the spiritual and the soul of who we are. All of those states are us, but depending on what time we allocate to each one, whether you take care of your physical health, your spiritual health, or your mental health, all of those various states of yourself are going to be affected. So unless we take active measures to protect those various states, when the forces of the world come, we're going to lead to the second part of that definition, which is it's not just the absence of mental of a disorder. And what that means as a healthcare professional is when we diagnose mental health disorders, we use a specific set of criteria. There needs to be a defined period, usually about 6 months for most conditions. There have to be specific criteria, symptoms, changes, and things that happen over a repetitive period of time, and behaviors that continue until they cause dysfunction. So what interests me as someone who works with mental matters South Africa is what happens when I'm at month 3? Because I don't have a mental health disorder by definition, but I feel very dysfunctional. So as we're going to a close, and I'd like to ask anyone if I can just take 1 or 2 questions from the audience. So if you have a question, just think about it. Brother Charlie, as we think about people wanting a set definition for things before they act on them, meditation and a relationship with self, for me as a mental health professional, seems like a preventative measure and also a protective measure. In a spiritual sense, how does that protect us from all the things that could potentially happen, but also sets up resilience within ourselves as we go through all of the abnormal stresses of life?
You know, I think the mindset of the human mind at the moment is to absorb. Because there's sort of an emptiness inside, my whole mental framework is to absorb. So we take in everything, atmospheres, people's moods, and it just, so I fluctuate really according. So it's like I'm a puppet dancing to the tune outside. I think the more that you begin to meditate, rather than your mind reacting, like someone behaves badly, you let it in your eyes, think, think, think. You hear a comment, let it in your ears, think, think, think. When you meditate, you're sitting down and you're creating the thoughts you want. It's like you're taking back your inner authority. Rather than life just reacting to this, your mind is just chronically reacting. You're sitting down, and when you meditate, you're feeding the mind with the thoughts you want. And the more you practice that, actually you begin to live your life in that way. So it's like you're managing, you're still connected and involved and responsible, but you're not a victim of all the stuff that's happening around. You become like an observer of life, which I think doesn't mean that you're withdrawn. You just watch rather than take it in and chronically react. And I think, there's so many benefits of meditation. In a way, it's just a way of caring for your mind in a world where you need to look after your mind. Often I'm amazed, health-wise, most of us exercise. We try to get enough sleep. We're so well educated, aren't we, about that? And we eat. We're so fussy about what we eat. But what do we do for the mind? And then I'm not happy a lot of the time. And actually, usually we blame others and life and situations. But actually, at the heart of spirituality, the first law says, I am responsible for how I feel. If someone behaves badly, I have a choice. I can think about it and have a lot of negative thoughts, or I can choose not to. I have a choice. Each thought is my creation. And when I have the honesty to accept that, I can change incredibly in a positive way. Because when I start to think negatively, I said, well, I've decided I'm doing this to myself. And, you know, it might be difficult at first, but after a while you learn to manage your mind. And it's not just an investment in you, it's an investment in your family too. Because when you're in a good space, we know we influence those around us.
Yeah, no, I've been in spaces where, you know, there's that one uncle or one auntie who comes to the family event and you don't know what's going to happen. Now you're waiting to see what mood they're in and how it's going to go. Can go left or right. Maybe if I can ask if anyone wants to ask a question. Yes. Yes, the mic is coming to you.
I appreciate. Thank you so much. Thank you for such a brilliant presentation. Really, really found it quite useful. I took so many notes. I have to go home and really unpack all of this. The question I have for you, I have to give a context, and I think you have started with the context. We live in a world of 8.1 billion people with over 4.5 different perspectives on spirituality, and that is not even touching on politics and other things and economies and so forth. So diversity is at the heart of the tension that we see in the world. How do we, from a leadership perspective, and I'm asking this because I want to believe I'm a leader in a particular context, and that context is Africa, and it's South Africa. It's a very violent environment where we have 80 people killed every day. That's worse than in countries that are at war right now. It's a reality of, I do work with children in terms of gender-based violence in communities like Diepsloot, where when you speak to them, and you try to use this language of spirituality, of meditation, and so forth, you start to sound a bit elitist. So, from a leadership perspective, I had to write it down, sorry. In a world shaped by real danger and inequality, how does one cultivate inner peace without becoming detached from the responsibility to confront injustice? Because we are a people whose philosophical orientation is not individualistic. Ubuntu is I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am. How do I, when I'm done looking after myself because I have a home, I have safety and all those things, food and so forth, how do I move from being just an observer of life and become a creator of a justice movement? How does spirituality become something that changes the world for the better and does not become passive? I mean, I watch the news and I see what's happening in the Middle East. Lebanon is bombed right now. What is our solution as spiritual people? Is it just us being at peace with having watched the news and I'm at peace? Or can this movement be used for something beyond just us and something that shifts the world in a powerful way? Thank you. Sorry for the long...
You know, the Brahma Kumaris have an ethic. When we change, the world changes. And as I was saying earlier, I think what's happening out there is a reflection of what's happening in all of us. And in a way, true leadership is first to lead the self. And I read a saying once that said something like, you know, example is not the best form of leadership, it's the only form of leadership. You see, often we have so many intellectual theories, we're so smart intellectually, but when my life is a model of being loving to people, accepting diversity, being inclusive as a personality, I think that's what people want today from leaders. They want to see it in action. what they hear is one thing and they see something different. And I think one of the great crises is people have lost trust in leaders everywhere, political, spiritual, religious, business, everything like that. And I think, if we model a behavior, and one of the things I've learned here is to really have good wishes and pure feelings for everyone, even with the people I disagree with. In the sense that, why can't we disagree but still have good feelings for each other? Yeah. Why do we have to dislike someone who has a different view to me? Yeah. I think it's lack of self-respect. And this whole journey, I think, is when I build my self-value once again, then I'm like a leader of myself. In Australia once, I taught meditation to the police. And the head of the police force, 17,000 police, said, please teach self-respect. If they have more self-respect, they'll be much better at their job. I feel that's for all of us. When I have self-respect, I can respect diversity. I can accept people as they are. But when my lowest self-esteem is there, I'm threatened by difference. Totally threatened by people who look different, who think differently, who have different beliefs and ideas. I feel threatened. And to me, I think, the way to empower us is really to teach us who we are and really rebuild self-respect. Now, that's the long term, but ultimately that's what's going to change things, I feel.
Sure. Thank you, Brother Charlie. We have time for one more question. So there's there at the back. And just while the mic is getting there, I am a healthcare professional, so I do have to say this, I think the conversation we're having today is very important when it comes to maintaining and preventing mental health challenges. But if you are feeling that there might be something that you need to see a healthcare professional about, please do consult so that you're able to understand that mental health is a spectrum. It's not either meditation or medication. It's not either you go and be admitted or you do it as an outpatient. It's a spectrum, and different people with the same condition will have different management approaches. So some may need medication, some others don't. And it's important for us to understand those differences because our minds are different, and therefore the management of that would be different. Can we just see if it's on there? Yes, thank you.
Thank you. As someone who has her basic needs met, I think I'm kind of following from what you asked. For someone who has her basic needs met, I can see the value of what we're talking about today, and the need for me to settle my mind and connect with myself. But someone who doesn't have food, someone who is poor, how would you advise meditation for someone who has an empty belly? That's something that really concerns me. And in the same vein, you're talking about mental health and the spectrum. If you think of people on the extreme, people with mental pathology, would you advise meditation for them? They're also dealing with mental health issues. So, these are very, questions that bother me. Thank you.
Let me just answer your second part of the question. So, for those who might not understand how mental health disorders work, what will happen is you will have risks based on genetics, based on life exposures, and that will either increase or decrease your risk for developing a mental health disorder. Depression, anxiety, even trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, for example. What then happens is life will throw something at you, be it an experience you have, it could be a trauma that happens, it could be a series of stressful events that triggers mental health disease. And the primary way that it does that is by two things. One is thought patterns. So you have these repetitive beliefs and things that you believe about yourself and your response to things. And the second one is the actual chemicals in your brain that are responsible for your mood, serotonin, dopamine, etc. So why we speak about multimodal or multidisciplinary approaches to mental health is because sometimes with some people, as they have early stages of mental health disorder, and maybe not even a defined disorder, but challenges, you might have these thought patterns that we just have to reverse. And that could be assisted with meditation. That could also be when you go to a therapist and they do what's called cognitive behavioral therapy, where they challenge those beliefs and those thought patterns that you have, and they replace them with ones that are healthier or more suited to the person that you would want to be. Then there's the second part, which is the actual chemicals in the brain. And what happens is with severe mental disorders, particularly in cases of schizophrenia, severe generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, your chemicals in your brain are so abnormal that you are unable to receive the benefits and achieve the benefits that meditation or therapy has. So what we need to do is we use medication to balance those hormones so that your brain is in a way calm enough to allow those thought patterns from the meditation and the behavioral therapy to kick in. And once those become habit, which then becomes a characteristic of who you are, your personality, then we wean you off the medication. So in some cases, it's just one. In other cases, it's both. And sometimes some people have a good sense of self, but because of the chemicals and the abnormalities in their hormones, they're unable to believe what it is that the world and they are saying about themselves. So that's why I said it depends on that. When we're talking about people who are unable to eat, it's very important that I think mental health, physical health, and spiritual health are all intertwined. And you can still believe something about yourself, even though you're unable to bring that out into the physical. And so it's not to say meditation will fix your hunger. No. It's about saying maybe you need to believe that there is something you can do and go out there. It might not be as it might not look as nice as you want it to be. There might be things that you have to do that you wouldn't imagine yourself doing. For example, if we look at maybe someone who maybe grew up in a family, I think of the prodigal son, the story in the Bible of the prodigal son, where he found himself in a situation he never thought he would have to be in and then came back home. Those kinds of things are mental patterns that lead to physical things. And even though it's not a mental health disorder, meditation sometimes can help you elevate your mind in those places so that you're moving into action to get yourself out of those things, not to excuse them or to permit them, because poverty is still bad for anyone, whether you have good or bad mental health, if that answers your question. Yes. Yes, okay.
Thanks. I'm Sharda. I'm a student of the Brahma Kumaris. I have been for over 20 years. The area that I work in professionally is I work in economic development. What economic development is about is how we work at country and international level to reduce economic inequality. Okay, firstly, as an economist, I want to say poverty is a very unhealthy phenomenon for economies. At a humane level, we are social beings, and it is in our DNA and in our nature to work at making sure we live in healthy societies. In South Africa, we started trying to build a healthy society. However, we haven't got very far. We still, having started in 1994, we still have the highest level of inequality in the world. We South Africans have to work. We have a democracy. Sadly, it's not a healthy democracy. Partly, we haven't learned to build citizen groups that really speak out in ways that will build a healthy society. Democracy is a system of interaction. And I'm just going to mention that one of the opening lines in our constitution is that South Africa must be a capable developmental state. Now that second part, the capable, is the capability in the state. Okay, I'm not going to comment on that. We all know how that is. The developmental state is the part that should be working on reducing the inequality. and there has to be interaction. Us who work in fields need to work on our mental health. And that's what being a student of the Brahma Kumaris gives me. Yeah, it's not easy working, confronting what we do in this country, and we have to work on ourselves. We have to have the tools. And what Nokukanya and Brother Charlie have been talking about is that in order to build healthy selves, but also healthy societies, we need to work together. Yeah? Our malnutrition levels, poverty levels in this country are highly unhealthy. And we have to work at it. What we can do, certainly, is to look at how we reduce. And you know what? Rather than be frustrated, because I could be a very frustrated development economist, but I have to work at maintaining my mental state and my intellectual capability to be able to work towards that. So there are things we can do, and we have to work at ourselves to make sure that we work together to build that healthy society and community. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Charlie?
I think you gave a beautiful answer. So did you. I don't know whether there's anything else really to add. But it's a very complex world. But, and you know, meditation we can't say is a panacea for everything. But probably, as we're seeing, one of the biggest, if not the biggest issue behind many issues is our mental health. And meditation helps. You know, I've seen the Brahma Kumaris teach meditation in jails and refugee camps in countries at war, and it helps people. It helps people come to terms with things happening around them.
Yeah, I mean, even as a medical professional, I've seen how the benefits of meditation have helped in oncology wards, and not just the patients, but their families to support themselves. So, Brother Charlie, on that note, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you. It's been lovely.
And thank you to everyone for listening and engaging. I hope we can engage some more after this. But please do have a great evening, and I will hand over to Nwako.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We've drawn to a close, and I would like to invite Brother Charlie to lead us into a final meditation, after which Sister Pratibha will come and give us a vote of thanks. Sister Pratibha is the coordinator of Brahma Kumaris in Gauteng. Thank you.
We can just sit quietly once again for a few minutes, and if we can just put down devices and books, and I will offer a few thoughts. We are all living in a very complex world with numerous issues that affect all of us. But one way to manage myself with all the challenges of life is to know and experience who I am. Just visualize the eternal self, the soul. A point of light sitting lightly in the forehead. Just hold this image in your mind. I, the soul, am the one that thinks and feels and acts through the costume of my body. I am a peaceful soul. And when I stabilize in the awareness of the self, I look through my third eye, the eye of the mind, and I visualize a radiant jewel of light. Just create that image in the eye of your mind, a beautiful, radiant jewel of light, emanating a purity of love. This is the Supreme Soul. Meditation is to link my mind with a source that is stable, a source that offers a quality of love that can heal the core of my being. Become like a small child, the soul, and allow yourself to be completely loved. Just feel this pure love entering me, healing me. This love gives me power. It gives me the power to change and transform myself. Living in such a world, I need to care for myself. Caring for myself is caring for my family and community. If each morning I wake, before I think about what I have to do and what is happening, reconnect with your true and permanent self, the soul. And then connect with the divine. And feel your inner world strengthen. Feel yourself step back into your self-value. And then I really come with a lot of personal resources to deal with all the problems we are facing. To meditate regularly is an act of love for myself. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. I think as we were having this final meditation, I was reminded of a story that goes that state of the I was reminded of a story that goes that thousands and thousands of starfish were stranded onto the shore. And one man went and picked up one starfish and flipped it into the ocean. And someone was watching him do this and say, but there's thousands here. What difference does it make? And he picked up the one and he threw it into the ocean and he said, it made a difference to that one, didn't it? And I think that's it. The state of the world is complex and we can feel very overwhelmed when we just think about everything that is happening. But it starts with ourselves. And as we make those shifts in ourselves, we begin to influence those around us. And that's how change happens. Change doesn't happen from the top down. It happens from little communities of change that are being created. And I think we must never forget that that we are powerful in who we are and that we can make that difference. So thank you for being here, and thank you for Brother Charlie
for making the time to be with us all the way from Australia. We didn't give him a break. He just got here and straight into it. And I think yesterday he was like needing matchsticks for his eyes because it was his bedtime. But he very kindly, has been with us and just created a very wonderful opportunity for us just to take that sustenance for ourselves. And I think that's one thing I want to emphasize is that we know what we want, we know what we need, but we don't always make the time for it. And that's our responsibility, to make the time and the space to nurture ourselves for what we need. So as the Brahma Kumaris, just a warm invitation to you. Our center is not far off, and you can always come and take some sustenance. We offer one-day retreats for meditation. Sometimes it's difficult to get in person, but we also have Zoom and online sessions that you can attend and be part of. So take the benefit of that and nurture yourself, because as we heal, our world will heal. And we can't wait for the world to heal to feel better. We have to take that step to heal. So thank you, everyone. And I just want to give a little token, it's a little gift. We have, where's Uri? Please bring the 3 little gifts. I want to firstly thank Brother Guaco for being a wonderful MC. He was good, wasn't it? Just a little token. Guaco, come. And Napakanya, I warned you the last time, I'm going to use it for every program. And Videshni, thank you. Your beautiful song, thank you. Set the tone for us. Okay. And I really want to thank you all because it's Mother's Day, and I know many people wouldn't want to come and be here, but thank you for being with us, really. As you go out, there's sweets and toli that we call sweets made with a lot of love for each one of you, and a little blessing card for you to take back home to remember today and to keep inspired. Thank you. Om Shanti, and travel well home. Okay. Yeah. If anyone want to take a photo, there's a little thingy there at the back. Okay.